So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the City of Rockville Human Rights Commission, welcome and thank you for joining us for this year's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration. My name is Andrew Lin. I am co-chair of the Human Rights Commission. The theme for this year's celebration is Past, Present, and Future. There's no better time to reflect on the past than with the 50th anniversary of this event. We must celebrate how far we've come over the past 5 decades, while never losing sight of why we hold this event each year. As for the present, what can we say? We live in a strange, bizarre period where circumstances seem to have distorted and bent the very passage of time. It's been a very challenging and taxing period for everyone in our community. Finally, in our program today, we'll take a deeper look at our future and examine our choices for examining the way forward for ourselves and for future generations. I want to thank the Mayor and Council for continuing to support this program year after year. In addition to the Mayor and our Council Liaison, Dr. David Miles, we also have Council members Beryl Feinberg, Monique Ashton, and Mark Pashela with us today. We have a great program packed in today's celebration. We will announce the winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Award and the F. Michael Taft Award. We're also delighted and honored to have multi-talented quartet Halo with us today. Halo will guide us through an interactive event for everyone who has joined us today. But before all of that, our first speaker needs no introduction. Mayor Bridget Newton has served as our mayor since 2013. In addition to her many roles in the city, Mayor Newton also serves on the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Board of Directors and Transportation Planning Board. In recent years, Mayor Newton and the Rockville City Council have spearheaded creation of the new Community Policing Advisory Board. They have also adopted Juneteenth as a municipal holiday and have adopted resolutions condemning hate and committing to policies that promote racial equity and social justice. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Mayor Newton.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It is great to see so many of us gathered today. And on behalf of the Rockville City Council, welcome to the 50th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration and Day of Service. I want to thank Esmara Hapday, Director of Housing and Community Development, and her team, the Human Rights Commission and the Human Services Advisory Commission for bringing us together today to both honor the work of Dr. King and thousands of others in the civil rights movement, and to bring us together to ask, where do we go from here? November 22, 1963, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. April 4th, 1968, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. June 6th, 1968, the assassination of Senator Robert F. Kennedy. In an even more condensed time frame, November 8th, 2016, the election of the 45th president. May 25th, 2020, the murder of George Floyd. June 1st, 2020, the Black Lives Matter protest in Washington, D.C. November 3rd, 2020, the election of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. January 26, 2021, the assault on the United States Capitol. The first set I knew because of my parents' grief and occasionally overhearing their conversations, but as a young child, I had little real comprehension of their significance. I've lived the events of the past 6 years in my own shock and disbelief, my own awakening and reckoning, and I have very specific memories of each of these. These 5 events stunned not just America's consciousness, but have threatened America's democracy. The 1960s saw the assassination of a president and 2 leaders in the civil rights crusade and shocked Americans into a movement towards addressing racial inequity in opportunities for education, employment, and housing, and a recognition of the injustices that discrimination had wrought in America. The passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act was a watershed moment and expanded the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution by banning racial discrimination in voting practices. Now in 2022, we are seeing a regression of voting rights as 250 laws have been proposed in 43 states to limit mail, early in-person, and election day voting. Steps clearly meant to roll back the progress for equality, accessibility, and democracy. In a 1957 speech, Give Us the Ballot, Dr. King spoke bluntly about the need for the equal right to vote. So long as I do not firmly and irrevocably, possess the right to vote, I do not possess myself. I cannot make up my mind. It is made up for me. I cannot live as a democratic citizen, observing the laws I have helped enact. I can only submit to the edict of others," said Dr. King. Today, we are no longer a nation trying to undo and hopefully account for the injustices of the past. In January of 2022, we are at a crossroads. And though we are a country founded and welcoming to immigrants based on democratic, small d, principles of fairness and equality for all, the laws being passed in state after state are taking away the voices of millions and millions of Americans. On Saturday, retired Brigadier General Charles McGee died at the age of 102. In reading about Brigadier General McGee this weekend, I was struck by a comment he made in 2016. Being brought up, they say African American or Black, but we're American, and our country was at war. Though they battled racism and segregation throughout the war, McGee and the Tuskegee Airmen helped lay the groundwork for the civil rights movement and influenced then-President Harry Truman's 1948 decision to desegregate the armed forces. If we are to seriously consider where do we go from here, I think we need to look more recently and see that almost 60 years after the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we are still a nation struggling to live up to with liberty and justice for all. As I said after the murder of George Floyd, one cannot unsee what one has seen with their own eyes. We cannot allow the awakening of so many of us to the injustices of the past and present to slip back into the shadows. After any consequential life event, a birth, a death, we tend to take stock, to look at our lives and assess. Today, I ask you, I ask myself, both as a human and as Rockville's mayor, what are we going to do to continue the work of Dr. King, Ruby Bridges, John Lewis? Where do we go from here? How do we live up to the sacrifices made for us in the fight for equal justice, voting rights, women's rights, human rights? Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle, said Dr. King. And in a takeoff on the song, Let There Be Peace on Earth, let that struggle continue with me, with all of us. In closing, I thank you for joining with our city today. Thank you to Halo for sharing your talents with us. I hope that today's breakout sessions are safe spaces for fruitful conversations. For we can move mountains if we listen to hear and give and receive grace to consider the different experiences and opinions of our community. Be kind to each other and enjoy today. Thank you.
We're going to move straight into this year's awards presentation. Presenting our awards this year is Councilmember Dr. David Miles, our commission's council liaison. David?
Good morning, Andrew and the Rockville community. I want to thank you all for I guess it's good afternoon, actually. Thanks for joining us on this most important commemoration. I thank you all for giving me the honor of presenting the awards to our awardees, and I'll go off and read their names accordingly. I'll be presenting 2 awards today to members of our community who have carried forward the spirit, goals, and dreams of Dr. King here in Rockville. Because I have the honor of honoring our student youth awardee, I took the liberty of representing the school where both Dr. King and I graduated, which is Morehouse College. The Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Award is awarded to a Rockville High School student who has helped to reflect Dr. King's life and teachings in their school or community by breaking down divisions and solving problems through civic action. The nominees for the 2022 Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Award are Ariana Segai, Christine De Fiore, Lulu August, and Rakia Dumbia. And the winner of this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Award is Rakia Dumbia. Let's give her a great round of applause. Awesome. Now, through her role as the publishing director of the organization Montgomery County for Public Health, Rakia presented testimony before committees of the Maryland House and Senate in favor of legislation regulating flavored tobacco products. Her testimony focused on the disproportionate impact of flavored tobacco products on young people, especially young people of color. Rakia also helped to recruit students through the Richard Montgomery Student Equity Committee for the creation of a video aiming to increase the participation of people of color in the International Baccalaureate, or IB program. Congratulations, Rakia. Now I will move to present the Michael F. Taft Award, the F. Michael Taft Award, and it is awarded to an individual, organization, or business that has helped to improve the lives of people with disabilities in the city of Rockville, such as through efforts to improve accessibility or raise public awareness. The nominees of the 2022 F. Michael Taft Award are Brian Barkley, Living Independently for Everyone, Seek, S-E-E-C, and Sunflower Bakery. And the winner of this year's F. Michael Taft Award is Sunflower Bakery. Let's congratulate them. Through its bake shop near Twin Brook Metro, Sunflower Bakery provides young adults with learning differences the opportunity to gain job training in the kitchen and with customers. After completion of the program, Sunflower then helps its students obtain jobs in Rockville and surrounding communities. Approximately 116 participants have graduated through Sunflower's training program. During the pandemic, Sunflower also raised money to deliver muffins to local food pantries and to hospital staff. Please join me in congratulating all of our nominees and award winners. Thank you all for keeping the dream alive.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise against the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has brought us.
Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Keep marching on, stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have on our weary feet, come to the place for which our parents died. We have come over the way that when tears have been watered. We have come out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star. is cast, our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far along the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray.
Bless our feet straight from the places our God where we met thee.
As far from with the one of the
Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. True to our God, true to our native land. Lift every voice, lift every voice, every voice, every voice. If I could reach the stars, pull them down for you, shine it on my heart, so you could see the truth that this love I had inside is everything it seems. But for now I find it's only in my dreams, and I could change the world, and maybe I will be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change the world. If I could be queen, if I could be queen, even for a day, or even a day, we'd all be royalty. You would be my king. I got it no other way, no other way. This kingdom we have made, this kingdom we made, I could only wish for the day that I can change the world, and maybe I will be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change the world, change the world, change the world. If I could change the world, change the world.
Wow. Thank you so much, Halo, for facilitating such a multifaceted experience for this year's MLK Day in our great city of Rockville, Maryland. You all are just so wonderfully talented individuals and models for excellent facilitation and leadership. My name is Amina Shafi Rogers, and I serve as the co-chair of the Rockville Human Rights Commission alongside my fellow commissioner, Andrew Lynn, whom you met at the beginning of our event today. We hope that you enjoyed both our virtual interactive event and also had the chance to reflect on the spirit and memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. Congratulations again to our Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Award and F. Michael Taft Award nominees and recipients. We thank you for your contributions in our community and beyond. A special thank you to the City of Rockville and Mayor and Council for their support on this integral event. The Human Rights Commission would also like to extend a warm thank you to Ali Hoy, our staff liaison to the Commission, and the City of Rockville Department of Housing and Community Development. In closing, I would like to remind you that the City of Rockville has planned several activities that will take place during the MLK Week of Service from today until January 23rd. Some of these activities include creating a care kit for a refugee or immigrant family, or supporting members of our senior community. You can find additional information at RockvilleMD.gov/volunteer, and hope you'll join us during this week of service to honor MLK. Lastly, we hope you can join us for Rockville's 2022 Pride Festival in June. It's our hope that the festival will be held in person, and please look forward more details this spring. Thank you again for joining us today, and take care.